Hello and welcome to part 2 on parenting props to rig in Blender using Rig-GNS. In part 1, we parented the hair, the brows, the eyeglasses and the eyelashes to the figure, making them follow the head when it's being rotated. And now we're going to also get the mustache and the beard to follow the head. So I'm going to start with the mustache, and can you guess which parenting types we're going to use? Well, that's right. We're going to also use the transfer option for the mustache because there are different vertex groups across the surface of the mouth that needs to be transferred to the mustache. So I'll go ahead and click transfer, then OK. Alright, I'll select the beard as well, click prop to rig button, select transfer, and then OK. Now to see the result, I will select the rig, go to pose mode, select the head bone, and now rotate it. So here you can see, even though we have the mustache and the beard parented, they still do not deform correctly with the head. Let's confirm if they have those weight groups. So I will select the mustache and then go to weight paint mode. Now using the sample tool, you can see we have the weight groups, but we can't see any bone heat. So now even when I isolate the mesh, we still won't be able to see the bone heat. So now let's go to the modifiers panel, collapse the shrink wrap modifier. Here's the particle system. Let's turn that off and see what happens. It disappears from the scene. So let's just go back to global view, select the rig, go to pose mode, select the jawbone. I'll change this gizmo here to rotation mode. I will now open the mouth of the figure by rotating this bone on the x-axis to see how the beard deforms with that. Okay, so now I'm going to select the beard. You can see there's this highlight of the beard mesh deforming with the jaw. But the actual beard particle system is not following it. So I think I might have to apply the shrink wrap modifier. It has already served its purpose. But before applying the modifier, let me reset the rig. And then select the beard. Then come over to the shrink wrap modifier and apply that. So I'm going to do the same for the mustache. Apply the shrink wrap modifier. Alright, next I will select the rig, then go to pose mode, select the jawbone and then open the mouth again. You can see the beard is still not deforming with the mouth. So I'm going back to object mode, select the beard, and you can see this highlight of the beard which indicates it's actually moving with the mouth, but the particle system isn't following along. I think this has to do with the arrangement of the modifiers here. So we need to have the particle system modifier under the armature modifier, and immediately you can see how that fixes that. So now I'm going to do the same for the mustache. Move the particle modifier below the armature modifier there. And now you can see that the mustache and the beard are deforming correctly. So now when I reset the armature, go to pose mode and rotate the head bone. You can see how everything is moving along with the head of the figure. So that is that. There is one last option for parenting prop to rig which we haven't looked at yet, and that is the auto option. This auto option basically just parents the object to the rig using automatic way. The thing with this option is it doesn't always work with any kind of mesh. So the mesh has to be one whole mesh without unnecessary loose parts or double vertices, or else the bone heat might fail to find a solution. Okay, so let me just show you how to use this option with a different file. Alright, so this file was also sent to me by a user who had difficulties parenting the shoes of this figure to its leg. So now when I select this rig and then go to pose mode, select the foot bone and now move it around, you can see that the shoe isn't coming along, which means it is not currently parented to the rig. Now in this case, because this shoe is whole, when I go to edit mode and press the L key, you can see that all the vertices are selected. But if the shoe has different loose parts, say this laces or the tongue, or maybe this Nike logo here is a different loose part, using auto weight might give an error about bone heat failing to find a solution. But since we have this shoe as a whole mesh, I will go back to object mode and simply go to the enemy mixer tab and click the prop to rig button and select auto. The reason I'm not going with the transfer option this time around is because there are several vertex groups on the figures too, which will be redundant on the shoe. Let me show you this by selecting the figure and then isolating it. Now when I go to weight paint mode and then have the sample vertex group selected, you should see all these different weight groups for the toes, which are going to be unnecessary on the shoe. So now I'll go back to object mode, go back to global view, select one of the shoe, and then click parent prop to rig button. You might also ask why we are not using the bone option, since the shoe are items that can be detached from the figure. Well, the reason using the bone option won't work is because the bone option only assigns just one bone to be responsible for deforming the object, and this shoe is supposed to be deforming to several bones on the foot, such as the toe bone, which influences the tip of the shoe, the metatarsal bone influencing the region here, the foot bone deforming most of the shoe including the heel region, and sometimes the shin bone, which will deform this upper shaft of the shoe. So for that reason, we can't use either the bone or the vertex option, as those only assign one vertex group or one bone to the mesh. So now I'll go ahead and select the auto option and then click OK. So with that done, now when I go to weight paint mode and then click on a region on the shoe with the sample vertex tool, you can see it displays these created groups and their different bone heights. Now I'll go back to object mode, select the rig, then go to pose mode and select the foot bone here. Now when I move the heel bone around, you can see that the shoe is now deforming with the foot. We can see parts of the leg poking through the shoe. Let me quickly change the gizmo here to rotation. Now when I rotate the foot on the x-axis, you will see part of the foot poking out of the shoe. This is because we didn't transfer the exact bone height from the foot to the shoe. Ordinarily, when part of a figure is covered by an item, it is advised that the faces of the figure around those items are hidden. So let's do just that. First, I will reset the rig, go to object mode and select the figure, then go to edit mode and then press the Z key to go to wireframe mode. And now I'll select the area of the leg that is hidden by the boot. Let me isolate the figure and then switch to solid view to better see the selection. Now I'll double click to loop select those vertices. Check the back of the leg to see whether this selection went around. Okay, I will now hold down Ctrl and then press the minus key on numpad to decrease the selection. Now I'm going to hide the selected faces with the mask modifier instead of deleting them, because masking is a better option if you plan on taking off the shoes of the character to reveal the feet later. So now let's switch to the modifiers panel to add the mask modifier. But before we do that, we will need to first go to the vertex group tab in the properties panel and then click this plus button to create a new vertex group. I'll call this mask, then I'll click assign. So now we can go to the modifiers panel and add the mask modifier, which is under this generate category. Now I'll click this vertex group field here and search for the mask vertex group we just created. Now when I go back to object mode, you can see that we only have the leg visible while the entire body is masked. We will just need to click this arrow on the modifier to invert the masking so that the foot is hidden and now the rest of the body is visible. Now going back to global view, the hidden faces of the foot will save Blender some calculation time when animating or rendering. So anytime you need to reveal the foot, all you have to do is go back to the mask modifier and disable the mask modifier by clicking this button. And if you need to use it again, you can of course enable it. Now I'm going to pose mode. I will select the bone here and press R to rotate it, and you should see that our poking through issue has been solved. Also, when I move the foot bone, you can see how the shoe follows the leg. So that is that on using the parent prop to rig button. I hope you enjoyed the video. If not, you can give me another chance by trying out any of the suggested video on your screen. Maybe that would make you a subscriber if you're already not one. So thank you for your time. I'll see you in the next one.